I'm Angela. I'm Angela Xiao Yunliao. I'm a Chinese teacher in the Chinese program in the East Asian languages and cultures. Today, I will introduce the gameful design I used for one of the advanced language courses, Business Chinese. And before I start, I want to explain why I choose this topic, because the students' difference, variability of students' proficiency and backgrounds in the advanced language courses always bother me, because it's very hard to accommodate each student's need. That's why I decided to try this the gameful design in my curriculum. So today, I will introduce the gameful design and personalized learning and some best practices and considerations, including the curriculum, project menu, student work, feedback from students, and my reflection of using this curriculum. So what's gameful design? Gameful design is the design that we use game element in a non-game context. So it's not a game, but we use the concept in this curriculum. So there are two main principles. One, the first is legal of control of the teacher. Let the students or the players select the task or project they want to do to help themselves in the class. And the second main element is the change of mindset. So instead of teacher deducting the point every time from the assignment or tasks or projects, students accumulate the point. Every time they complete one task or project, they accumulate the point throughout the semester. So let's take a look at this. Mario, did you see that? That's how they Mario like accumulate the points throughout the way. So that's a concept of this curriculum design. We want students to choose the project or task which are helpful for themselves and accumulate the points throughout the semester. Okay, so personalized learning is based on the individual language learner's interests and needs. So we use this personalized learning to optimize the path, approaches, and objective content and activities for the students. So what are the benefits of using personalized learning and gameful design? There are a lot of benefits. I just named a few. The first and most importantly is it's student-centered and student-led. Because we don't design what they do, they decide for themselves what are helpful for themselves. And it increases student engagement and motivation because they choose the task they want to do and create a risk-free environment. For this one, I encourage students to try different kind of project. If they don't do it pretty well, that's fine. You can choose another one to accumulate more points. That's fine. So also fosters in critical thinking and problem-solving skills, and bring a sense of success and achievement to students. Once they achieve or complete a test, they'll feel, oh, I can do it. There are different levels of difficulties of the project, but students can choose whatever they think they can reach. Okay. And so also facilitates differentiated instructions for individual learners. So after I introduce the benefits of using this curriculum, I want to show you the best practice in my course. So I use this curriculum for my Business Chinese course. So learning objective for this course is to achieve students to achieve personal goals in terms of career planning and Chinese language proficiency advancement. Under this big broad objectives, there are several small goals they need to achieve. The first is to understand the main idea in the field of commerce and one's specialization, because my course is a Business Chinese course, and participate fully and effectively in conversation on a variety of business-related topics. And third one is to enhance career readiness through special events in the course. I do use textbooks. There are two textbooks I use for this course, New Pathways and Chinese for Working Professionals. But I don't use both of them. I choose the materials from these two books based on students' composition and the need. So assessment, student work toward a person. Oh, sorry. There are two parts of assessment. So first part is that more traditional way where we as students do the regular work such as tests, quiz, and then essays to secure their learning effectiveness and ensure the quality and quantity of language learning. And the second part, which the gameful design part, is for them to choose from a project menu to accumulate points. So the second part is like they have more freedom and flexibility to for them to choose. So students will, for the second part, students will work toward a personal goal in this course, choose and experience the tasks of their choice, and will select several projects and tasks appropriate to their personal goals and level up the grade with the by accumulating the points throughout the semester. This is a timeline for the semester. So at the beginning of the semester, before the course start, I will conduct need analysis survey to better understand students' needs, learning preferences, and their plans, the career plan after graduation, and their expectations. I also conduct an individual interview for each student to know their proficiency and their motivation. This is very important because I need this information to design or adjust my curriculum. So each semester I have slightly different curriculum for this specific group of students. The first week of the semester, I'll introduce the gameful design, grading, and project menus. It's very important because it's a new concept. So the students need to know what they're doing. The grading system is different at the beginning of the semester. And the third week, I will discuss the goal and the project with individual students. In the mid-semester, I'll invite feedback and discuss their progress. At the end, I'll check the project they complete and the point they still need to complete to get the 4 point. So by the way, at the end of semester, every student will get 4 point for this part, for the second part. And that's what I want. I want them to do. So they can, if they don't do a project pretty make as expected, they can choose additional tasks to do. This is a sample text and project menu for the course. So remember the first part, the red part is the more traditional way, which secure the quality and quantity of the language proficiency, language teaching, instruction, quality and quantity. So they are required to do the quiz, essay, and news report, recording and tests. And the second part is the project menu, 40 points, strongly recommended for students. They can choose any project or a task here to accumulate up to 40 points for this part. And the third column is up to you, where students can decide if they want to do or not, or can have a more room to discuss with the teacher what they want to do. If they have a specific idea about doing a special project, they can also discuss with me. So for the strongly recommended part, students can do a regular presentation or they can revise their Chinese resume, where we invite a career professional, a professional from the career center to help them. And they can also do self-intro video in professional settings, mock interview, guest talk summary, planning or leading discussion, or they can participate in Chinese radio show recordings. So here are some simple tasks and projects that students do. This is a field trip to the KAZN 1300 Chinese radio station in Pasadena. So they visited the company and the TV studio, had a discussion with the manager there to talk about the their company, their marketing strategies, and the current topics about in Chinese society. And this is a simple resume student complete. Also, this semester we arranged the Chinese drinking and dining culture in business settings to prepare those who want to work in the Chinese international companies. So in this event, students learn how to then the etiquette to for sitting and ordering dishes and drinking. And here are some sample guest speech, discussion and reflections.
Sorry to interrupt. 1 more minute you've got.
Okay, all right. So I'll just go through very quickly. So here are the guest speakers we invited these 2 years. They are all working professionals. Most of them speak Chinese. And students news report where they can choose a topic of their choice. We don't have time to play this. So the topic for this one is why many countries ban TikTok. It's a very new and very popular topic this year. Presentation and essays. So student feedback, the most students think is very individualized and flexible, and the tests in the project menu mostly are applicable to real life situations. And my considerations is that I need to increase sense of competition and community when I do this, so that students are more motivated to accumulate points, and maybe prepare more projects and tasks to fit student needs. And remind the timeline, because many students wait until the last minute to accumulate all the points, and that's not a good sign. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Angela. This was very interesting. You can share resources through this chat, or you can email them to us, and then we will share with all. Thank you very much. We will now, Andrea, start with your presentation. Are you in? Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My connection here is not very stable. So anyway, hello everyone. I'm Andrea Parra from Latin American and Iberian cultures, and I'm going to be talking today about an application called Wiser Me that I heard about, and it's kind of like a Google form, but it's a little more visually engaging. So I thought that I might, investigate it and see how it works. So I'm going to share some of the features of this app, and then maybe we'll have some time to talk about it afterwards. So this is the Wiser Me. Can everyone see that? Yes. I'm not hearing anything, so I'm assuming that everyone can see it.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the Wiser Me, the main page. It's the community page. And so immediately all of these worksheets pop up. These are already created by all of these different members of the community. And you can share your worksheets, and you can also search them by language. So if you click on languages, you can choose from these languages that they have available. And then, so if I chose, for instance, Spanish, I could, I don't know, search for sports, deportes, or I don't know. You can just search for whatever topic you're interested in, and you can scroll through and see if you see anything that you like, and you can click on it, and then you can edit it and share it with your students. It doesn't seem like you have to, recognize the original author of these worksheets. So that's kind of a drawback, I guess. But for the most part, I think people like to create their own stuff. And so you can click on this button here, and it takes you to create worksheet, and so this is what a blank page looks like. So then you can put your title here. Here on the left, they have all types of designs that are probably a little more, jazzy than maybe what we find in like a Google form. And then these are all of the different kinds of activities that you can use on the worksheet. So a lot of them are similar to what we find on Google Forms, like open questions, multiple choice. There are also like close or blank, like fill in the blank options. You can insert an image and then fill in on that image. That's a little different. There's a drawing tool. There's a sorting tool, which is kind of fun, and you can drag and drop. You can insert images, as I said, videos, and then you can also, if you are into Canva, I use Canva a little bit, but I know that some people swear by it, and so they do a lot of designs on Canva, and so you can import a Canva design. So again, you can choose from all of these over here on the left, and then you just start building your worksheet. So let me go back to, let me see, where do I want to go? I want to go back to my worksheets and see, I can show you one that I've created. Here we go. You click on my worksheets. And let me see, I'm going to click on this one. This is a worksheet that I created on home appliances for Spanish 220 class. And let's see if it comes up. Here we go. So you can see here, I've inserted this image, and then the students, they actually, this is in the create mode, and so I can still edit it. I'm going to show it to you in the assign mode so that you can see, oh no, I'm not going to do that. I'll do it in the preview mode so that you can see what the students see. And so this is basically what they see. And then they click on this, and then they can write the name of the item and identify it. So they would click on wherever they see this blue dot. And then there are some open-ended questions here. Here's an open-ended, which is similar to a Google form. And then this is kind of visually more interesting, where students would, draw the squiggly little line across to match the definitions with their counterpart. And so that's kind of fun, I guess. And then here I've inserted a video of the Thermomix, which is a must-have appliance in any Spanish kitchen, or so I'm told. Oops. And then below that, I have some multiple choice options and a couple of other open-ended questions. And then finally, after completing those exercises above, students will work in pairs, and they will use this drawing tool, which it's pretty basic, although some of my students had trouble managing it at the beginning. But there's drawing tools, there's text, there are different shapes they can insert, and then we're also required to write like 3 commands. The idea was for them to invent an appliance of their own creation, and then it was an ad, and so they had to use some commands for that purpose. So anyway, that's like an overview of a basic worksheet in Wiseman. And then if you, of course, once they submit, then that's where our work begins. And that's in the form of, grading these worksheets. And so here with the grading, with the assessment, I had some problems. For instance, I'm not sure what happened in some cases, but students were like inserting all of these different labels. So I don't know exactly what happened there. And I have to say that the customer service for this app was a little sketchy as well. So it was sometimes a little complicated to get some feedback on this. So then this is what they see when they've matched up the items. And then down below, their answers are also, they can get immediate feedback on this. Then here are some of their answers. And then here's a drawing of a microwave oven that does the exact opposite. If you need something cold, then this is exactly what you need. Here, you can freeze your ice, et cetera, et cetera. So they've used the commands, and that's their drawing. So this, I mean, is something, it's kind of fun to share these kinds of images in class. But at the same time, as you can obviously see, you have the list of all of the students and you have their scores as well. And so some scores are pretty low, right? So you probably don't want to share that kind of information with your students. But I believe that if you click on this, the printer mode, then it will show up like larger format, and also without the students' data there as far as their grades and that sort of thing. Oh, but I actually don't want to print it, so I'm going to cancel that. So so that's basically how WiserMe works. I mean, I think I had some difficulty with it just because it's, I mean, you kind of have to share it through a link, and then if you want to actually grade some of these items, for instance, these items, the labeling, you have to go through and grade it yourself and then give them credit. And honestly, I do not have time for that. And then there was another option, for instance, that I have not used when the students, you can give them the option of recording their answers, which might be kind of nice once in a while. But for me, again, not on a regular basis, because I really don't have that much time to go through and scroll through all of these different activities in order to listen to 1 or 2 sentences for each student. But that's my reality these days. I'm pretty pressed for time. So basically, I think that's it in a nutshell. Let me see if, I don't know if there are any questions. We'll talk about them at the end. But the pros are that I think that it's visually engaging, and that it's more colorful. I think there are more options than in a Google form. But I think when it comes time to assessment, it's a little demanding. The customer service is so-so. And I think they actually encourage a more fuller integration with Google Classroom, which we don't use. And I did not go down the Google Classroom path. So I don't know, maybe some of you can give me recommendations about that, because in some ways I feel like I didn't give this app the benefit of the doubt, because I just figured this is taking way too much time, and time that I don't have. So I think that's it for now.
Thank
and then
you,
maybe we can,
Andrea. It looks
okay.
like your students had a lot of fun, though.
Yeah, I think that it was okay. But again, because we also use Pear Deck, and then we have, so I didn't really want to use up too much time experimenting with these other apps when they're just getting used to, like Pear Deck, for instance, or getting used to any other kind of app. So anyway, but we can talk about it at the end.
Yes, thank you, Andrea. Thank you so much. It was very interesting. Tinyu, we can start with our last presentation for today, and then we will answer questions. Again, to remind, you can ask questions in the chat, or raise your hand when time comes, or send them to me directly. Tinyu, we're ready.
Okay, so can everybody see?
Yes.
Yes, right? Okay, good. Thanks for coming, everybody. My name is Ting Yusin, and I'm a Chinese instructor. And today, my report topic was differentiation in project-based learning in advanced Chinese course. This is part of a series PBL experiment for my advanced Chinese courses, which started back in fall 2020. And with the PBL guiding principles staying intact all the time, there has been a continual adjustment to my instructional tactics. So the basic PBL guiding principles and framework are such. There are three major components: theme, problem, and product. For the advanced two courses that I was teaching in both fall 2022 and spring 2023, the theme was the changing of values in Chinese cultures and societies. The problem was think-tactile breed, and the product was a group presentation of an ebook. To show you a part of the adjustment that was made here is a PBL framework from spring 2022, just for the Chinese advanced one course, just for comparison. This was back when I was just started using PBL in my advanced courses. As you can see, the way the themes and product was organized and outlined were more or less the same. However, the problem portion back then, like how does each culture society deal with the personal, familial, social, economic issues? What are the differences and similarities? Here were more general and broader. So even though it did allow students much room for differentiation learning, I felt that there was a lack of clear guidance and scaffolding on my part. So in order to improve, I set out to employ a different strategy to engage my students. So now let's go back to the fall 2022 and spring 2023 PBL framework. So with the modification of the problem portion, the entire PBL was given a different dynamic. Since the focus of this teaching proposal is on differentiation, I will only talk about the aspect of differentiation in my instructional tactics, which is precisely about the implementation of the think-tactile. So for both fall 2022 and spring 2003, the components of the think-tactile are the same. So to start, the number one, each group will select a combination consisting of 2 input and 1 output out of the think-tactile grid. Number two, in addition to the combination, a corresponding cultural topic will be selected from the textbook to go with each task. So let's take a brief look at the selected textbook lesson topic so that you have an idea of the breadth and depth of the cultural issue the students were working on. Okay, the first one was, there were 6 lessons, including first, the definition of heroes in different eras and gender inequality, the emphasis of the school education and path to success, the extreme lavish lifestyle of the wealthy second generation in China today, the traditional familial social values that no longer reflect reality. The last one, the need of privacy in the modern time. So it's mostly about critical studies of the changing of Chinese social cultural values. So now let's return to the PBL components again. So basically the PBL think-tactile component contains 2 types of tasks. One is input, the other one is output. Even though input test types ask students to exercise their receptive language skills, but it does not mean that they just work it on their own. No, they will have to share their finding with their teammates and discuss with their native speaker language exchange partner. And in the end, they will have to give a final product presentation, which is it's called reciprocal teaching. Actually, it was a teaching day for them. They have to teach their classmate what they learn to share them with the entire class. So for the output performance, they will of course have to present their creation in class on a scheduled day. So this is how the PBL was integrated in the curriculum. The fall 2022 had more students, so I scheduled 3 different days of 3 different groups of output performance. But for spring 2023, there were only 2 groups, it was a small class. So I put them all in one day. Now let's take a look at the think-tactile grid and its test descriptions. Since my proposed teaching cycle is spring 2023, which is still happening, I'll show both fall 2022 and spring 2003 to compare them and show the changes made this spring for improvement, because oftentimes we learn the most from the progressive process and correction than the end result of the work of perfection. So this was the fall 2022 think-tank grid. And this think-tank grid contains altogether 15 different tasks. Let's first take a look at the think-tank task requirement, and then we will come back to the think-tank content later. So the think-tank requirement for fall 2022, first, all chosen think-tank boxes must touch each other. Number two, it has to be 2 input and 1 output project combination. Input project, meaning you are required to work with authentic materials. For the output project, if you are not creating original work, your project should also be based on authentic material. So in this think-tank, it was supposed to be a well thought out and accessible inner logic, which is all straight line combination containing at least 2 input and 1 output task. I had to be very careful with that because student can randomly just choose any combination and it has to fit the task requirement. So now let's take a very brief look at each boxes. Number 1, research and find a profitable Chinese business model that is sustainable and beneficial to the society. Number 2, design a pamphlet to advocate a social value. Number 3, research an article online related to one of our study topics. Number 4, doing a survey out of an existing survey on one of the study topic. Number 5, find a poem that addresses one of the study topic. Number 6, make a collection of video footage to illustrate the point with narrative voiceover. Number 7, write and perform a play about one of the study topic. Number 8, listen to a Chinese song that addresses one of the study topic. Number 9, pick any TV show, news, film, documentary, etc. online. So these were social, cultural, musical, literature, business, dramatic, marketing, topics of diverse interests. I thought this would provide students with many options to choose from. And I would hope to see many different types of choices among the groups. To my surprise and shock, all 3 groups, right, chose number 3, 6, 9 combination. I was unprepared for the choice that they unanimously made. But afterward, I studied the grid again and realized that they all bypassed those most creative-driven projects and went for the safe, straightforward types of tasks, such as finding the article or watching a movie and summarizing them. So it made me think harder for the think-tank task requirement design. So since this spring, I am doing the same think-tank PBL again with the same course of a different group of students. I made some changes to the think-tank grid. Okay, this the think-tank modify think-tank task description in 2023 is picks 3 tasks in the grid, does not have to be straight line combination. Number 3, the combination 369 is not available. Your combination cannot contain any 2 of these 3 numbers. So first of all, I changed the straight line combination restriction to give the student the freedom to pick their own 3 test combination. And of course, because I didn't see the point why it has to be straight line combination, they just pick whatever combination they prefer. And of course, 369 were modified to avoid the same mistake happening in fall 2022. So after the modification, the students' picks of task types show a broader diversity in spring 2023. And the highlighted, the boxes were the ones got picked by both classes, and those, and of course they were overlaps. But anyway, it kind of covered more now, different boxes. And these 4 boxes, which were not touched at all, they were just was not chosen at all. And these were like, business model design and designing survey, pamphlets, and composing poem. And so apparently the difficulty level of the non-selected tasks were higher. I mean, to their, from their perspective, it doesn't have to be true, but that's how they felt, and more challenging than the others. So that's why they were not chosen. Because this is a short presentation, I won't be able to show students' work, but I would like to show you some of the post-PBL survey that I did related to differentiation learning, so that you have at least a brief glimpse of students' perspective. So since the spring semester is not yet finished, I haven't done the post PBL survey with the student yet, but however, I have the survey from the fall 2022. Okay, let's take a look at this number 4. Do you agree that aspect of your individual learning needs were met when doing the PBL? In other words, you feel that even though your language proficiency level was different from others, you still feel that you were learning and improving adequately in your own way and pace. The majority of students either moderately agree or strongly agree. So this was a very positive and affirmative outcome. And number 6 and 7, I targeted, the question about think-tactile combination because I want to know how it impacts the students' learning. And for 6, do you agree that think-tactile combination selection effectively improve students, providing students with options? And out of the entire class, 50% say moderately agree, and 25 disagree, and 25 neutral. And number 7, do you agree that think-tactile combination selection provided differentiation in learning for the students? So the majority of students either moderately agree or strongly agree, and 12.5% disagree, and 12.5% staying neutral. So now to conclude, I feel that it's true that.
Sorry to interrupt. 1 minute.
Tactics aim to provide students with diverse option to meet their learning need. Of course, we, the instructor, always hope to see diverse task choices from students as a result. But from my experience, that is not always the case. A diverse option do not guarantee diverse results. But no matter what their choices are, it has to be respected. And I feel that there must be instructional strategy we can continue exploring to motivate students to take up challenges and dare to be different. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And we now have about 10-15 minutes to ask questions. If you have a question you want to ask aloud, please raise your hand virtually or otherwise, and we will address your questions. Go ahead, would you?
Hi, thank you. I have a question for Angela. Hi, Angela. Thank you for the presentation. It was very interesting. I have a question about the textbook. You mentioned that you are still using the textbook in your class. So I would like to know more detail about that, such as how did you choose the material, and are those materials from the textbook related to the task that you're provided to the students?
Yes, thank you for the question, Wuju. So there are 2 different textbooks. So first one is for advanced learners, and the second one is for intermediate high to advanced learners. So I choose the material from these 2 textbooks based on first based on students' proficiency, and also based on their interest of this big topic. One textbook covers the material for macroeconomic situations in China, and the other one is more focused on business culture and marketing strategies and working environments in the Chinese international companies. So I will combine the materials based on students' interest and background.
Oh, I see. And are those related to the task?
Yes. Yes, they can do there are 3 presentations. They can choose. They're all based on the best textbook topics. They don't have to, but they can choose one of the presentations if they want.
Okay.
Thank you, Wuju.
Thank you both. Any other questions? Atieg.
Yeah, thank you to all 3 presenters. It was very interesting. Andrea answered the questions I was writing about during her presentation, which was about the recording and the self-correction. So thank you. But Angela, I wanted to ask, I was interested, I don't know if you'll be able to share your presentation. I would have really liked to see what that looks like on the students' point of view when they create what they do. With the gamification and the game and what you showed. And I know you didn't have time to be able to share that with us, but is it something that you could either drop in the chat or so that I could concretely see what the product looks like?
Thank you, Atia, for the questions. So the product, there are different kinds of product. So it depends on what they choose from the text menus. So for the presentation, it's a more like a traditional way of a presentation. If students feel more comfortable with doing that, they can do that, or they can be more creative by interview working professionals where they record the conversation and then share the result with the classmates. So there are different formats of the student output. But the thing is, we have to arrange the time carefully because many students want to do the presentation at the end of semester, so we will run out of time. So it's very important to discuss the plan with the students at the beginning.
Okay, thank you very much. And I did have a question also for Tin Yu, and it was interesting what you showed, and the grid was very interesting. I was also curious to know why you didn't simply, when they had 3, 6, 9, why didn't you just simply move things around on the grid with kind of an idea of what combinations, with that idea that they do stick to each other, that they have to be, with each other, but to create a combination which all combinations where you think that you would get the most varied results and not leave it just up to students?
Yeah, I thought I did a perfect job. I thought, well, these, I didn't think that they would choose all this combination. And from my perspective, because I did, it's my first time doing this. So from my perspective, they're actually different. And then when the result came out, and I started view that from their perspective, and apparently from their perspective, this is easier because it's all about summarizing, right? And nothing really very highly creative driven. So then I realized that, and in the spring, I would just say, well, because they are very similar, I would just say 3, 6, 9, and you just do not pick them. Of course, I can repuzzle it again. Maybe I will do it better next time. It's just the design itself needs to be improved, progressively. You are right.
No, it was interesting. No, I was just curious to know why you didn't just redesign it instead of giving the choice to students. But thank you so much. It was an interesting grid and task.
You're right.
Thank you. I see 3 hands raised, so I'll start with Zhangjian, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name.
Yes, your pronunciation is perfect. Thank you. I have one question for Tin Yu. Really very interesting topic. So maybe you have 2 or 3 questions. The first one, so how did you check in with your students through the semester long, because this is a semester long project? And then did you check in with them in your class time, or did you check in with them in the office hours individually? And second, in terms of choosing the authentic materials, so you mentioned that students have the freedom to pick the different topics. I was wondering if they have difficulties of reading, analyzing, or interpreting the topic. So are you going to help them in what way to help them to analyze the topic? And third, this is like a semester long project. So you mentioned that students need to connect the topic that they pick from the authentic material and then make a connection with the course content theme. So is it a final project, like a final presentation? So doing one presentation, so how did they connect the things that they chose from the authentic material and make a connection with the course materials content? Because there are maybe 6 chapters in the course. Yeah, so that's my take.
Yeah, that's a very good question, because this is about a progressive learning from them. And can you say that your first question again? Because can you say that your first question again?
Yeah, first question, it's the how did you check in with your student? How did you evaluate they are doing the
job? Because these are actually interrelated questions to answer, because we have 6 lessons, right? Start from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. So if you choose 2, 5, 9, then I ask them, you have to be ready with your choice of authentic material when we start the lesson. For example, if we are starting lesson 2, your group has to be ready with your choice of authentic material by the time we started lesson 2. And then you need my approval for this. So my contact with them is really based on when their project starts. So each time when I have, when they come back, when they choose they have their pick of authentic material, I will read about them and take a look at it, and then I'll give them feedback and tell them why this is working, why this is not working. And then I'll give them time and then give them, the guidance as to where to find an appropriate authentic material of this type of things. And so, it's a lot of, back and forth. And your second question was very long too. Can you just say it again?
The difficulty of like reading the authentic material by students of their own, because without the teacher's guidance.
Okay, I told them this is an extensive reading or extensive learning. So what they have to do, they have to turn in vocab list and summary. And first of all, they work with their teammates to study the material. And then they have to talk to their LAIC language exchange partner to ask them questions about this authentic material. So the entire, there's a lot of effort need to be made. And then when they don't know and they can't find the answer, or they still don't understand, they come to my office hours. So there were a lot of layers of learning. First of all, with the teammates to find the appropriate material, and then go there on their own and with their teammate, and then talk to their language exchange partner, and then with me. And then in the end, there's a reciprocal teaching day. They are going to present their finding with the 2 authentic material to the entire class. Actually, they are teaching, other classmates about, because even if they are picking the same task type, everybody has a different authentic material. So we know we are sharing. Yeah. So I hope this answers your questions.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. We have time for one more question and then we have to wrap up. Brady, go ahead.
Yeah, so my question, thank you for these presentations. Andrea, my question is, when you were using the audio piece for the worksheets, was that something that your students were engaging with, and were you giving feedback on that? Is there a way to give audio feedback on the audio submissions? Or?
Yeah, actually, I did not use the audio because I didn't really like having to go through and scroll through each of those assignments, but it's certainly an option. It's an option for them to record their answers. I mean, if you want to give them the option to record instead of writing something out, and the instructor can also give feedback either in written or oral form. So the instructor in theory can also record.
Wow, great.
So, and there's also like a special area for giving feedback. But one thing I just wanted to say that I was really interested in overall in all of these presentations is the interest in differentiation, and how each of us is trying to design materials that really cater to each student's needs. And that was one thing that I didn't mention in the worksheet, and it's something that I haven't played with too much, but there is also an option to create rules to differentiate the materials that you share with your students on these worksheets. But I looked at it briefly, and it seemed a little odd because you kind of have to identify students' strengths and weaknesses. And in the examples, they gave something like artistic, and then that's definitely a positive, but then a negative was like slow reader. And so I don't know if I want to designate my students that way, but anyway, I mean, I thought I'm interested in this whole idea of really designing for individual students when possible.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We have time for another.
Do you have a question? Do you have a question about whether
Yeah, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I dropped to one. I
Yeah.
wanted, because you had a small class, you had 5 students, I think.
Right.
How would it work with
Yeah, that
16 to
would-
19? Would it work
I-
with 16 to 19 students? It seems like a lot of, yeah, work also on your
It
part.
will work. It will work because just organize them into groups, right? I have a 12 people class before, and I was using PBL, and it worked very well. And they have very, strong teams, strength and support with each other. The more people, the better it will go. Yeah, it will work. Yeah, because I work it with 12 and they work beautifully. Yes, too. Okay.
Hagit, you had your hand up as well. You're
Um,
muted.
Yes, just actually to Andrea as well. Thank you first of all for presentation and very opening and insightful. Andrea, I just wanted to ask you about the Wiser Me. How do you find it? I mean, is it the free version giving you all this, what you mentioned, or you have to subscribe and get more in terms of the recording and all that?
I think when I first started, there were a lot of
Free.
tools like the recording. I think that was free, but now I think they've started charging you like $90 a year for the premium subscription. But that seems to be happening with all of those.
You with
apps,
all of
right?
them, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And do you find this very useful also for more for assigning students as a homework practice or in class?
In general, I use those kinds of assignments in class because I like to go over the answers. I feel like if you assign it for homework and they submit it, they kind of just check out and they're not going to remember their answers. I don't know if these worksheets give them the option to send themselves a copy like you can with a Google form. And so they're like, if you ask them after the fact, they're like, I don't know, I don't remember. So yeah, they don't have much memory, short-term or long in some cases. So I prefer to use those kinds of activities in class. And I really don't like to assign points or anything. I don't use them like as, any kind of tests. It's just mostly worksheets, low stakes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Well, thank you. Thank you all, dear presenters. Thank you for sharing all this very interesting information with us. Wonderful projects. Dear attendees, thank you for joining us today. This was our last event this semester. Thank you for your very interesting questions. And if you missed any part of the presentation, the recording will be available on CLC's website. So this is all for today. Thank you for joining. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Liana,
Thank
for
you,
coordinating.
Liana.
That's my son.